Hey everyone, Regal Reviews here. It is White Rice Wednesday. So, I'm pretty late doing my Survivor White Rice Wednesday videos. I've kind of procrastinated a tad bit. But basically, I want to try to make a video every Wednesday that's Survivor themed. It could be about when the season's going. It could be about recaps. It could be about a certain Survivor castaway, a certain scene, an alliance, basically anything that's to do with Survivor. So, today's topic, I wanted to discuss having a disability on Survivor. And I'm going to talk about 3 different castaways and just go from there. So, unfortunately, when you have a disability, no matter what it is, and especially in the game of Survivor, there's a target on your back. Like, you're not necessarily a threat per se, but people have this assumption that you are going to basically be useless in the challenges. And I think the first time we saw something like this was in Survivor Amazon with Christy Smith. She was the first deaf woman on Survivor. And, you know, many of her tribe mates felt the same way. They thought, oh, we need to get her out. She's going to be useless. And she did pretty well. I mean, I think, correct me if I'm wrong down below, but she made fifth place out of 20 people. So, I mean, I thought she did good. She was one of my favorite people on Amazon. And then you also had another deaf person on Survivor Worlds Apart, Nina. The thing with Nina is, with Christy, at least she was younger. With Nina, another thing about Survivor Castaways is if you're older than everybody else, they want you gone first, because, again, they don't feel like you can contribute much to the tribe. So add the fact that she's deaf and she's the oldest one on the tribe, they want her gone. And, you know, Nina tried to talk to her tribe mates and be open and say, listen, I lost my hearing, you know, X amount of years ago, because she wasn't born deaf. She had, I think, just recently had lost her hearing at that point. And her tribe mates didn't seem to appreciate it, and they just seemed to go out of their way to not include her in things. And it was quite frustrating. And I believe it was that season, I feel like they threw a challenge just to get her off. And I'm like, well, who does that? And with Christy, I believe she was also open, but I feel like her tribe was a tad bit more receptive than the people that were on Nina's tribe, because Nina was maybe like 40, 50, and these were like early 20-year-olds. And from what I found out in my own experience is that people that are younger, they act dumb, and they're not very understanding people that are different. So then you move on to Kelly Bruno from Survivor Nicaragua. I believe she was the first amputee on Survivor. And again, I don't think people noticed at first that she was an amputee. And she got into a fight with Nyanka, because Nyanka was just a tool and was the type of person that can give it but can't take it, you know what I mean? And I don't want to get into this whole Nyanka thing, because this video is not about Nyanka, but she was rude to Kelly and for whatever reason just did not like her, and Kelly did nothing wrong. But they, again, thought, you know, because she's an amputee, how useful is she going to be in the challenge? And that's the same with this past season when we had Noelle. Noelle was also an amputee. I don't think we have had an amputee since that point. And Noelle was a badass. And it really does come full circle, because you have all the way back from Survivor Amazon to Survivor 43. And arguably Noelle was a fan favorite this whole season. I mean, I think the episode that really stood out to me was the balance beam challenge, which is hard enough in itself, but then add the fact that, she's an amputee and she can't maneuver it like other people can, and other people are farther along in the challenge and she's behind. And understandably, a lot of people would give up in that situation, but she didn't. And you could even see her tribe mates, cheering her on. Like, I wouldn't even say really cheering her on, but just encouraging her, like, not to give up and keep going. And she did. And she ended up actually winning that challenge. So that just shows that you can never give up on Survivor. And it was just so inspiring. And they didn't see Noelle as like, oh, this person with a disability. They saw her as Noelle. Like, they all loved and appreciated her. I was personally sad when Noelle got voted off, but it's a game. You move on. I do hope she gets to come back again because she was awesome. And the thing with having a disability, no matter what it is, I have found from my own experience, because I've been told different things. I've been told by some people to be open and upfront and honest about your disability, because that way people know right off the bat, they could be understanding. And for the people that aren't understanding, then early on and you don't have to waste that much time with them. Then I have other people telling me, to hide your disability because people won't be accepting and receptive toward you. But then I also found that if I don't tell people, like, at least in the workplace, I found this part to be true. If I don't tell people about my disability, they start to question me in a way. And what I mean by that is, I'll give you an example. So I once got a complaint, and I've never, ever gotten a complaint at work, but I got a complaint from a boss saying that I ask easy questions or ask questions that I already know the answer to. Like, I don't ask questions unless I don't understand it. Like, and the thing of it is that directions that might be easy for some people might be hard for me. So just because you tell them to do this, like, I might say, well, wait a minute, what did you mean by that? And it's like, the more steps that are involved, the more I'm probably not going to understand it. And I might need, like, just a refresher, like, hey, can you repeat what you just said? Because, I want to be able to perform the job to the best of my abilities. And I can't do that if I don't understand the task at hand. So that was, I know, an issue that came up. So once I told people in my workplace that, this is what's me and everything, and I told them I'm an Aspie and everything, then they started to understand more and be more accommodating. But then again, also too, you don't know, because on Survivor, you have these 20-year-olds who just want to flirt with the guys on there and just get ahead. But then you have the older castaways that are a little bit more receptive because they have the experience toward people that are different. And I found that to be true with me anyway. I was told all through school, like elementary school, middle school, high school, that you have to make friends your own age and how important it is. And I was given skills like how to start a conversation, how to fit in. Well, I shouldn't really say fit in, but just how to basically start a conversation, how to keep it going, all that stuff. And it didn't work. Sadly, it just did not work. And after a while, when you're let down so many times, it just takes a toll out of you. So having friends my own age is not important. So I get along with people that are like 20 plus years older than me because they are understanding, they're more patient and compassionate. And I feel like I see that as a pattern on Survivor too, because you see a lot of the same people seem to go together more. Like, you see, like, the early 20-year-olds, like, you got the man bun, Joey Amazing types, and the, like, the pretty blondes and everything that are in their, like, they're just, like, 2021 and everything. They're clueless and immature and everything, and they just flirt all over the guy, and then that's what they call in Survivor, like, the popular clique and everything, and then you have the outcasts, and normally the outcasts are just basically anybody that's different, and usually the older castaways are on there too. And sometimes the older castaways tend to be the leader, and that's of the tribe, of that particular misfit tribe. Sometimes, you know, they may not like each other, but they have an understanding and they want to get the people in the clique out. So, yeah, I do feel like in regards to, like, having a disability on Survivor, I feel like it's come a long way. I would personally like to see more with a disability. I mean, I know they're, with the past couple seasons, they've been trying really hard to be more inclusive. So I feel like they're on the right track, but I feel like there's a lot more, that can happen. Because I also, too, I don't remember if it was Gio or Ryan. Might have been Gio. Was it Gio? Gio or Ryan, one of them had cerebral palsy, and, like, if somebody with cerebral palsy was on Survivor, like, 20 years ago, like, they would have been first person out, but they made it to the merge. I'm like, I was just, it's just amazing, like, to look back, like, where we are in Survivor now as compared to where were, like, how many seasons ago. It's amazing to me. And nobody, like, pointed out his cerebral palsy. I'm not even 100% that he shared that on there. I mean, obviously, like, in the confessionals, we saw that, so we knew he had cerebral palsy. But had he not said it, I wouldn't have known he had cerebral palsy. And it wouldn't have even mattered because, you know, I liked him as a castaway. I mean, I felt kind of neutral. Like, he wasn't one of my favorites, but I didn't not like him, you know. And that, and another thing with having a disability is that people make assumptions and they feel like that it's all the same. Like, with me being an Aspie, when people think of Asperger's, they think, oh, she can't talk, she can't function, she can't take care of herself. I've lived on my own. I've paid bills in my apartment. You know, I've lived on my own twice, now about to be 3 times. And I've had a steady job over the past couple years and everything. And obviously, you know, communicating a few so I can talk, but it's like different way of communicating, you know, and it's like what's autism for one person may not be the same for the next person, you know. And people make the assumption, like, oh, like, I'm dumb and everything. That, oh, I can't function in society. And, you know, they just think, and I feel like sometimes, like I mentioned before, that's how it is on Survivor. And I feel like it's almost, how do I describe this? It's people's own ignorance. Like, it might have been a factor of where they grew up, because some people live in a small town. I mean, I grew up in a small town, but for the most part, you know, like, in Inagawik, everybody knew each other. Like, there was a sense of community there. Like, there wasn't, like, all this hate. But some people grow up in a town where they have certain values and everything, and it passes on from generation to generation, and they can't see past the end of their nose, so they're very stuck in their ways and are very allergic to anything that is different. So I found with having an invisible disability, people will often question that I have a disability. Like, I've had that come up before in restaurants, people, when I say, because I have food sensitivities, not necessarily an allergy, but I've had waitresses at the restaurant question if I actually have a disability or not, and I've actually left restaurants crying because I'm like, are you serious, people? And also, too, I know when I go to conventions and I asked for what the accommodations are for people with a disability, I'm often questioned because what I've heard them say to me before is that I don't look like I have a disability. Like, one time during a photo op, I asked if they can turn the music down because of, Aspies and loud noises. I don't like it. They wouldn't do it for me, but they did it for the person in front of me because as they put it, her disability was more obvious and mine wasn't. So my disability was questioned. So that's everything too. Like, on Survivor, it's a whole different world. So it could end up being a situation where, somebody's open and upfront saying, I'm just going to say Aspie, for example, because, I'm talking about that. Someone might, try to be open and say, hey, I have autism and everything. And someone on their tribe might look at them and they say, oh, well, they can't have autism. They don't look like they have autism. And that might be a factor of them getting voted off. And it's just really sad. Like, we still have a long way to go as a society, but don't want to get into politics because this is just Survivor talk. But as far as Survivor goes, we're getting there. Like I said, I would love to see more diversity. I feel like as far as diversity goes, I thought we saw more diverse players in season 43 than we have in any other season. I'm looking forward to the next season of Survivor. Looking forward to seeing the cast and everything. And let me just say, like, people might be discouraged from trying out for Survivor, especially if people have a disability, because I've been told, like, oh, you shouldn't go out for Survivor, like, how are you going to handle it out there? How I handle everyday life, I mean, it's no different than today, just adding, like, I have to stay with people I don't like for 30 some days, but I've already lived with people I don't like for more than 30 days, so just on an island, tropical island of Fiji. But my point is, don't let anyone discourage you, because I've tried out for Survivor 10 times. Some people are lucky and only have to try out once and they get on the show. I'm not giving up, because I hope my story can serve as an inspiration for not just people that have autism, but for anybody that's been bullied, has been told their whole life they can't do this, that, etc. So yeah, if you want to try out for Survivor, go on the Survivor casting website. I hope you guys enjoyed my White Rice Wednesday video today. Comment down below if you want me to talk about a certain Survivor castaway, a certain moment, a certain season. Let me know. I'm open to all suggestions. Till next time, stay regal.